Yeah, so recently when it came down to really working with the t-shirt printing business, I made a mistake and I was working around with a measuring device that didn't really properly measure the shirt because I was using a tool that was not really made for measuring t-shirts. It was actually made for something else, and instead of starting at 0 and then going up in inches, it started at 1 and went up, but it didn't really mark 1 either. So me being just clueless, was measuring designs for a client, and when I ended up doing that, I ended up being an inch too large in the width and an inch too large in the height. And what ultimately ended up happening was that subtle difference in the width and the height made a big enough difference in the size of the entire design to where it was noticeable, and I could not sell the material to the client, and because the client didn't want it because it was too large a logo, and which ultimately resulted in my order from Transfer Express, basically a part of it not being useless at this point, and not entirely useless because there was I was ganging up on the transfer sheet, but now I have to go back now, and for even more of a cost, I have to go back now and I have to basically order more that are the correct size for the design. And the problem with that also comes to the fact that not only is more time taken at this point because I have to wait for the transfer to come in, the next problem that comes in is more so money. Profit margins are now being eaten up in because now I have to go back and reorder the stuff. And on top of all of that, I'm already have a large amount of capital pushed out already, having all of these pieces, these garments, these shirts, jackets, whatever, already ordered. And now all that's put on hold. There's money put on hold because of the apparel that's there. There's money put on hold because of me having to get more transfers, and there's also money going in the garbage as well because there's a portion of the transfer I have going legitimately basically in the garbage, and it's putting me in a bit of a bind also because now the client has to work even longer for the pieces that they want. And that's a really big problem because at any moment they can say, we're gonna just switch and find someone else, or we don't want it no more, so on and so forth. And it can really put a person into a bit of a pickle for the most part. And it's just something that I think that a person needs to be wary of, is really the small details that can cost you a lot of money, like not knowing exactly how a client wants a design, or just being off half an inch and not quadruple verifying or paying attention to the tool you're using can end up costing you a lot. Like, it's not even just about t-shirt printing or anything, it's about just like business in general. Like, paying attention to the small details may seem a bit tedious, however, it can save you a good amount of money in the future, and just a lot of headache down the line compared to what I had to go through. Because when all this happened and I'm thinking this large order is going to be pushed through or whatever, I was halted at the door because it was like, hey, this isn't what we want, this isn't correct. And when that happened, I was shocked because I remember checking 3, 4, 5 times to check that the measurements were correct. However, we realized that the measuring tool was starting at a different start point than what was needed, and that 1 inch difference in the width and the height made it big enough to where it was noticeable when compared to the design they already had, which is a problem on my end. So, just probably something that an individual should really keep in mind is just pay attention to the small details and be very careful of things like that, because it can cost you a lot of money, a lot of time, because now I have to go back and do over the same workload that I've done before, and that takes more time, that's costing more money. So the whole moral of this entire video, I guess, is just pay attention to the small details and do things right the first time around, and have someone else peer review whatever you got going on, because it's going to come in handy, because someone's going to catch something that you didn't catch in the beginning. And also make sure you have the right tools, and don't try and cheap out and save a couple dollars just because you think it's that important. Just get the tools that you need that get the job done. So pay attention to the small details. Make sure you're quadruple checking your work and getting it peer reviewed, and get the tools that you need that are specifically designed for that job. And it'll save you a lot of money, because losing money is not fun no matter the situation. So yeah, that's it.